welcome to What Would Larry Do? I'm here today with Larry Hellwig, and I'm Dr. Ann, of course, and we're here on a really hot and sunny afternoon in Phoenix, Arizona.
Toasty.
You know, I saw it's going to be somewhere between 110 and 115 this weekend.
I know we're going to be cooking, but I will be in Orlando and you will be in Vegas.
That is true. Neither of us is going to be here this weekend.
We won't be here for that, so too bad.
Well, we have a special guest with us here today. We have Kelly Silas, who's here from Projected Growth Consulting. So she's one of the consultants there. And we're here to talk about how sales events in your office can be used to increase your revenue, introduce new products, bring new patients in, and really how to do this effectively. Because I feel like there's goods and bads when you get into hosting a sales event. So welcome, Kelly.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me.
So
really awesome that I get to come and be with you guys. This is cool.
I know. We always love having you in our office. You've been there multiple times. Yep. You're such a pleasure. But why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what you are doing with Projected Growth Consulting?
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I am a consultant, as you said, with the firm. My background is I got into it. I started in this industry, which is really kind of cool with you guys training laser techs, right? So it just kind of really shows that a career can go in different directions just by having that background, right?
Oh, yes.
So I started as a laser tech, quickly realized I like to consult with people. So I became a sales consultant in the practice. Our practice grew, we sold out. I then went with the owners and we went to the big guys, and then we did another thing, as you know, there's a lot of tentacles. We get these relationships in the industry and they grow and grow, and then it could be 10 years and you're like, oh, I haven't seen you, I forgot about you, but yeah, remember back in the day, right? So I ended up with a company where we opened up 23 med spas in the United States and 3 in Canada, and with that, it was a small team, and there's boots on the ground.
Yeah.
It's a lot that goes into it, from finding space to finding medical director to finding, good injectors to finding great equipment, right? Equipment that you can say, hey, this works.
Yes.
And put your blessing on it. And so a lot goes into that. And now here I am years later. And I'm not sure how I went from being 25 to 55, but... But come into Clearskin, then I can make sure I feel, like
you still look 25?
Yes.
Well, you definitely don't look 55. So
At all.
That's why I go to Clearskin, right? So all of that, right? It's awesome. But yeah, so I'm working for Kelly Smith with Projected Growth Consulting. I've been doing that now for about 6 years. It's, I thought I knew everything coming into the business, and realized really quickly that there's always things to learn.
Oh, yes.
Right? There's every day I'm still learning.
Yep. It's funny because I was at an office at a different event in Tennessee this weekend, and same thing. I came home with new stuff, and I was rambling things off to Larry. And some of the stuff I was like, yep, we know that. We've done that. But other things, it's like you can learn something new every time. And so it's kind of fun because if you can realize that and keep picking up information and growing, you keep getting to the next level.
I agree.
So,
yeah.
But good. One of the main reasons we wanted to bring you on is to really talk about what these sales events are. And really what I want to start off with is, having you kind of explain to our listener base is what is the difference between an open house and a sales event?
Oh, okay. That's a good one. So an open house is I want everybody to come see what I have to offer, right? We've got all these services. We have this fantastic staff to showcase. So services and staff. Maybe I have a really great location and I have a new build out. All of those things. Maybe it's just about my brand. But typically they don't bring in a good ROI, right? There's not a return on investment with an open house. People come out and they're wowed typically by all the services. They don't really know where to spend their money. Too much candy in the candy store, right? I want it all.
Yes.
Yeah. So that, or sometimes they just come out because they love you. They want to support you. They have no intent to spend any money with you that day. But they still just, oh gosh, I just love Dr. Ann. I just want to be there for her. And there's a time and a place for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So that would be your open house or maybe even your grand opening. But a sales event is really focused on sales. That's what it is. It's all about increasing the profitability. We like to narrow the focus to usually one specific, at least, to face or to body, separate those two out. But it could be a specific device, right? So it could be your RF microneedling, and that's it. We also do combos where, we know that in this industry, when we're talking about all these things, it's not usually a one and done, right? Combination therapy is really where it's at. So bringing that all together. So we might do something where we put packages together and do a treatment plan, but our events are all about it's a consultative process, consultative style. So it's meeting with them one-on-one. So we bring them in, we do a group consultation. We call it a consultation in the round, but we'll see usually about 25 to 30 people. That's our goal.
Okay.
And then with that, we want to meet with them individually to, find out what it is. Sometimes people love to share and other times people don't want to share, right? So working with them face to face and being able to hand them that mirror, say, tell me what bugs you, is really helpful in terms of being able to do the proper treatment plan and close the deal.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you said that your goal is around 25 to 30 people. Because I think all offices, when they have in their mind of doing an event, they always think more is better, right? They're always like, as many as we can get in the door. But why is your goal to be at like that 25 to 30 people?
Well, that's a hurdle I have to get over with most people because we think the more people, the better.
Yes.
In terms of everything, right? And it is true when we're talking about an open house, right? The more people I could get through the door.
Yes.
But again, if the goal isn't necessarily sales, then it's different. But with this, it's about knowing that most staff, we have so much to work with in terms of bandwidth. And if we want to meet with them privately, one-on-one, we would need it to have it, I don't want to say intimate because that wouldn't necessarily be an intimate setting, but smaller to where we can give everyone quality time.
Yeah.
So we always say quality over versus quantity, right?
Yeah. Oh,
now,
yeah.
in your terms, when we did the event with you, we wanted as many people in. We wanted to showcase Clearskin Institute, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it was a different goal. Yeah.
But we still shot to keep our number a little lower. You know what I mean? It wasn't necessarily at that 25 to 30, but we weren't trying to have hundreds of people either.
Right, that's true.
Because we did want to actually be able to close sales. And, with only like 2 registers and certain things like that, it gets a little overwhelming.
It does. Yeah. And we know it was over. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It was great.
There's no lie these aren't work, right?
yeah.
We know that have to put in the effort
Yeah.
to get the reward.
Yeah, we have some pictures that'll pop up here soon that we have one that kind of showcases like our event space and has the people that are in there and around. And it was awesome. We had a great time when we did ours. We always do ours as like a Black Friday event. That's something that ever since I've been with Larry, we've been doing that. So you can see there's a little picture of our office. It kind of showcases that event space, which we'll also talk about why it's important to have the space here in just a moment. But I've been with Larry now for about 10 years, and we started one year doing, some Black Friday specials, which I've got 2 avenues that I want to lead off of this. So the first one I want to talk about is the event space. But then the second one I want to talk about that, I'll end up asking you is how often should people be doing these events? Because then I'll go into why in our office, we do it once a year. We have a certain time and our patients are kind of aware of it. And we have our reasons for going into that. But, it's slowly but surely grown every year. And it's just been getting better and better. But for Larry and I, when we're there, even if we're having, quite a large number of people, you're right, it is hard for us to get around to everybody. And it's like every 2 minutes I'm being pulled to talk to somebody else and answer this question. And, and then when I see them weeks later and they're like, don't you remember you recommended this package? And I'm like, nope. However, I can go back and look at you and tell you exactly why I did. I mean, I don't forget why I did, but it's a little overwhelming, but it's great. Yeah. I mean, we love it.
We had, I think we had more people than we anticipated.
Yes.
And that was part of it. And, we thought they were going to come and go. And they stayed.
All night. Which I guess that's where they want to come hang out at our party. And we did have good food and alcohol. And of course they're going to stay if you're serving both of those.
Yeah, it was really a lot of fun. I'm glad we did it. And I think we'll continue doing it. But to try to have the small number. I think you would have maybe more of those that other than one a year.
Yeah.
Or you could have them back-to-back nights, or it could be something else. I don't know. But we ended up with quite a few people, and it was like that. I think we were both talking to 3 or 4 people at a time and
Yep.
trying to, make suggestions and whatever. Now, as a sales event, as doing a sales event, it was very good.
Yeah.
We were very happy.
Yes.
We were thrilled with it. So, that worked really well for us. But yeah, I think, the same thing when you do events like a physician group, when you
Yeah.
bring in physicians to hear about a new device or something like that, everybody wants hundreds of people. But I noticed a long time ago, if we had 30, 35, and you really got some one-on-one time with these folks, they understood it better, and it did real well. So, same thing.
Yeah. Well, and for us, it was easy to throw a larger event because we have such a big space.
Yeah, you have a great space.
So, and that's something that Larry, and I, when we went looking for space a while ago, because I still get this question sometimes, why are you guys still in downtown Phoenix and this and that? And it's like when he and I went to search for space, our goal was more space. We had been you'd been in that office for how long?
Forever.
Yeah. Like 15 years,
Yeah.
18 years.
Long time,
I can't
yeah.
even remember.
Yeah.
And so we knew all the things that we liked about it and all the things that we didn't. And I would say we looked for a good 4 or 5 months before we found the space that we're in. And he and I looked all over the valley at different key areas for location. And when finally he sat down and asked me, do you care more about where the location's at or the space? And I said, the space. I said, I need at least 8 treatment rooms. He wanted a huge didactic room. I said, for what we're looking for in this. And so we designed our space out like that.
That's
So for us, it's easy to say, oh, yes, we're going to host an event at our office because we spent a lot of time and effort developing this space, knowing that we were going to do these things. But what about offices that are maybe small and they're renting a little room, but they want to do, even if it's just a sales event for 25 to 30 people, do you recommend that they rent a larger space to do it, or do you recommend that they try to fit it into their small office?
Well, my go-to is always going to be have it at the office. And for
Okay.
a couple reasons. Number one, that's where your patients or clients are accustomed to coming.
Okay.
If I've seen a few things where if you think about someone who's getting off work, because we always want it to be in the evening,
Yes.
come straight from work.
Yes.
Come to us straight from work, no time in between, right?
Yes.
If they've had a bad day or they're running late and we have tunnel vision, right? Like it's just like we're our autopilot to the office, and then you
Yeah.
had it down the road at the Marriott. Well, forget it. I'm going home, right? So a lot easier to blow you off.
Yep.
Also, there's an idea that comes to mind when we're having it at a space that we might consider to be more party.
Okay.
Is that, gosh, they're having this large event. They won't miss me.
Ah,
Right?
okay.
So those are a couple things. Not to mention financially, right?
Yeah.
If our goal is to increase the bottom line,
Yeah.
then we don't have to pay for space. Anytime you pay for space means you have to use their catering.
Yes.
So there's a lot to that. You know probably what you spent for your event, and you just got to go buy it and bring it in, right? Everything changes when you need to use their audio visual and you need to use their caterers, right?
Yeah.
Increases the cost drastically. So our solution for that is to do either split up the times if it's truly something where we just cannot accommodate it. That's just not going to happen. And a lot of times people don't realize that by moving around some furniture, that big round table that's in the waiting area, lose it for the evening, bring in some chairs, set up classroom style. It can be done. So there's lots of workarounds. But really just having it there in the office is going to be what's going to be best. You might do, our typical go-to is a 5:30 start time. So you might do a 4 and a 6 or a 4 and a 5:30 or, whatever it looks like in terms of what their demographic looks like. If they're all 9 to 5ers, then we might want to do a 5:30 and a 7,
Okay.
something like that. But I've seen it all, right?
Yes.
What actually got us really launched the company, PGC, is Kelly Smith doing events. That's where she got started in 2009. She hit the road and was just event after event after event. And that's what some people still know us for. They still think, oh, they're the event girls. And they don't realize we do a whole host of things now,
Yeah.
right? We've really expanded our services, but they still think of us as events. So when I say we've seen it all, I truly mean that. Although the caveat is we still are like, oh my gosh, did you know that this happened, right? Like, so something still happens and we don't know. But I have seen some really great events that worked out with someone renting space.
Okay.
Now, I didn't do the financials with them to know what they spent. So maybe their ROI wasn't as good as if they would have had in the office, but people did show up and things were good.
Okay. That's
So
good.
I'm not saying absolute no. It just
Yeah.
would not be our go-to if we're consulting with you.
Okay. That's interesting because I thought you might have gone the other direction.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to have these and have you guys on because that's exactly why we work with you guys. Because Larry and I are good at what we do, which is treating the patients, knowing how to do the equipment, training on the equipment, doing all that. But really, when it comes to doing stuff like this, it's like what we think. I mean, it's just not what we do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think everyone in the industry should take a look at having specialists come in and help you because there's no way you can know it all. There's just too much now.
Yeah.
Just technology is crazy. Everything is so much, and having someone who does that for a living, I mean, sure, that makes a lot more sense.
Well, it's like you always say is having the right people in the right seat on the bus.
Yep.
And obviously you and me trying to do that is not the right seat. Like when I tried to have us record our own podcast before we
Yeah, been there, done that.
before we hired Star Worldwide Networks to
Yeah.
record our podcast because we had our little microphones, we were in his office, and the audio quality was terrible.
We were pathetic.
And then it was me at home at nighttime with my little headphones on and my computer trying to edit it, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
It was really funny. So hence the fact we found somebody.
Right.
So our, it actually sounds professional, is professional, as you can see, as we're
I
recording
know.
in the studio.
I watch your podcast, obviously, and you don't see behind the scenes. This is a big production here.
It
I had
is.
no idea.
I know.
A little
It's amazing.
intimidating.
But it's awesome, hence
It
the
is.
fact we had to find somebody to help us because otherwise it was never going to get off the ground.
Right.
Or if it did, it was just going to sound so horrible that nobody was ever going to listen to
Yeah.
it, So, but I want to get us kind of back on track to the second question I wanted to ask
yeah, what was
about
that?
that is how often people should be throwing either sales events or open houses or just events in general for theirs,
Okay.
which we kind of have found where we landed on one big one. And we found that works for our practice and our patient base. Our reason for doing that is we didn't want our patients to be waiting every month to see what the next special was so that they're only buying things when they're on sale.
Right.
And so that made us a little concerned. So number one, it's how often should people be doing events? And then number two, is there ways to do events without it always being a discount?
And another question with that is there, sometimes I think you can do an educational event without it being a sales event.
That was my second question.
Oh.
Is there a way to do an event without there being a discount involved?
Okay, all right.
Okay, I don't have a notepad to write my questions down, so
I
we might
will-
have to circle
Did you
back
get
to
that,
that sheet.
Mini-Me?
Okay. So
Yeah, right? Little Larry, did you?
So I brought Mini-Me, and every once in a while, if I don't understand something, he'll chip in, and I've always got somebody who normally agrees with me, so a lot of yeses going on.
Yeah.
Anyway,
set him over
Yep.
here. He might remind me what one of those
Yeah.
questions
yeah,
were.
here we go. And
He's agreeing, yes, that Larry doesn't listen to me when I'm talking.
Okay, so in terms of
How often?
how frequent should I have a sales event? So we have a structure that we really recommend and we work with a lot of people on, and that's 4 a year.
Okay.
One per quarter.
Okay.
Keep them at least 6 weeks apart. So when you're, we have a book here I'm going to talk about for a second, or in a minute.
Okay.
It's the annual marketing plan. So that fits right into the annual marketing plan. So we always, doesn't matter when you do your annual marketing plan. You can sit down today. It's June, doesn't matter.
Okay.
One thinks, I got to do it in December for the next year. And really, you can start your annual marketing plan anytime, right?
Okay,
As a matter
yeah.
of fact, you can do it for more than 12 months if you want to, right?
Yep.
Sit down and do it. So with the marketing plan, we would say have one body event. I was talking in the beginning about splitting them up, right? So we'd have a
Yes.
body event. We would have a face event. If we offered feminine health, feminine restoration,
Okay.
we would do one of those. a year.
Okay.
And then it could be either a combo, it could be a VIP. We're really big on VIPs, and working your way to maybe spending X amount per year with us. And then those are the select people that get invited. And if you haven't started that, you can start low, where the first year everybody's a VIP. Of course,
Yes.
I love all my patients, right? And then you let them know what the parameters are for next year. You know, what are we looking at? What do we have to do, right? So kind of when you're doing your loyalty programs, you'd write that into the loyalty program.
Just like the airlines do with us.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm always making
You
us
want to
work.
keep your platinum
Keep
status. You got to fly this many times.
Right. So it's very similar to that. It's amazing what people will work towards,
Oh, yeah.
right? We always want that. Kelly Smith talks all the time about the gift with purchase. That's
Yeah.
at, Estee Lauder or Clinique or something.
Yep.
And it's not even, we know what we like for lips. We just
Yep.
talked about that. But that's kind of nice. And I'll get that for free if I spend this. And we
Yes.
didn't even really want that.
I know. That's when you spend $20 more to get the $5 free gift.
Yes. And well, I'll give it away. Right. So I'm splitting them up like that. So one per quarter is what we like to see. Now, possibly as you get busier and busier and more successful and you start doing less discounting and you get to the caliber that you're at, maybe one a year is your big rip-roaring event, right? Maybe it's a holiday, like you do the Black Friday.
Yep.
Sometimes people do a spring fling or a,
Yeah.
a fall
I was going to say, I've
bash.
seen the fall events. Yep.
Yeah, so there's lots of options out there. The goal is always to make money,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
So if we don't need to make money because everything's well oiled and rocking and rolling, then we might not do it until we purchase a new device and need to integrate that device into the spa, the practice, and we really want it's a great way to showcase that device and that service. So there's different ways to skin the cat, but in our world, when we're doing an annual marketing plan, the majority of, and we're nationwide, so everyone's going to be a little bit different, but
Yeah.
for the most part, 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. I like to hear that because I think offices really struggle with that, not knowing what the right amount is or how to plan that out. But I really like the way you broke that up into sections too, like the face, the body, the feminine wellness, or the VIP. So it has a very specific theme going
Yeah.
on.
And I think the technology, because there is so much new technology that's coming out and people are buying.
Oh yeah, they are.
I mean, look at how much we've gotten over the last few years. It's like
I know.
people are getting more technology where there's no way. I mean, even if it's on your website and everything else that your patients know and understand it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be a good excuse to every once in a while have one where you do an educational, but maybe also with an introductory special.
Yeah.
Brand new device. This is what it does. We've been trained on it. You're going to love it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that's great. Yep, that works good. You had talked about discounting,
Yes,
right?
I was going to say that'll bring me back to the second question. Is there a way to do these without discounting?
Yeah, so, we always feel that the person coming out, it's really win-win. So it's win for you because you get to see 25, 30 people in one night versus each one of those people for an hour at a time throughout the weeks.
Yes. Okay.
So if you really were to look at taking up time on your calendar, on your
Yes.
books, then why wouldn't you want to extend that offer and give them what they want? And they
Yeah.
want a deal.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
do. They want a discount. So we always recommend 20% off.
Okay.
That's our go-to. Now people do, and we're not here to talk about that, but within your annual marketing plan, again, people are always looking for the discount, right, for the deal. So we'll say throughout the year that's not an event, but it's your monthly promotion to not discount, but to do
Okay.
a value added,
Okay.
right?
And is that sometimes with those where you can do the value added or, so many people, like if you purchase this product, then you get put in a drawing for something free or that type of thing?
Are you talking about, are we back to events or are we talking monthly?
No, like a
promotions?
monthly. Like you can promote, let's say, for example, we do the Scarlet RF microneedling.
Yeah.
And we could put out a promotion of the Scarlet, but, saying anybody who buys a Scarlet this month will then be put in a drawing for X, Y, and Z free.
Yeah, that's one way you can do
You
it
know
that.
it.
I mean, there's so many different ways that can go, right?
Okay.
You can do it that way. You can do it to where they get just, their glabella done with Botox
Okay.
on right after their scarlet treatment for free. So
Okay.
that whatever that is,
Whatever their little
like, I don't
add-on
know,
is.
like if that's $200, then you always look at the value. So take the scarlet treatment. If it's $1,000.
Yep.
And then you were to discount it 20%. Now we're $200, right?
Yep.
And if you were to take that, now you know that that's kind of your area to work within in
Okay.
terms of what you would give for free.
Okay.
So if I can turn around and give you $200 value of Botox, but that only cost me $100,
Yeah.
that was better than if I took a 20% off.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's right.
So
That's that added value. And that's something that you guys would recommend that they could do monthly for promotions.
yeah, you need to have some. People are like, because if not, they're going to wait for the event always,
Yes.
right? So you have to have something that they're looking for, a reason other than just news that you would be sending them an e-blast or have extra things on your social media,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So definitely, people are looking for that. It's that they're always looking for something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's nature. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody's looking for a discount. So, or something free or, all of that.
A
I agree.
bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all do it, right? As Nordstrom semi-annual sale
Consumers,
is
yeah.
coming up. We all pay attention to that. And we're like, okay, do I need anything? No. Am I going to shop while it's there? Probably. Just
Yeah.
because we know that the sale is coming up. So as far as the actual events, so we're going to circle back to that now. If they are doing these quarterly events, when it comes to like the timing of it, what day of the week or days of the weeks do you usually recommend that they throw these
good
events
question.
to get the best turnout?
Yeah, so we are pretty specific to Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
Okay.
Get people that all the time, but I wanted it on a Friday night, and you have to just put yourself in that place, kind of like what I was saying about renting the space and people blow you off. It sounds great when they're RSVPing to come to that Friday night event. Sounds fun until family or friends trump your event.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden they're blowing you off again. So we know that if Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in the evening are our best
Okay.
days to have those events, then we get pretty granular. We'll look at if it's a metro area, Thursdays aren't always the best anymore because Thursday's
Interesting.
the new Friday, right? So everyone's going out after work with their girlies. And again, this is a consultative style, so we don't want just that girl and all of her friends coming to the event because we
Yeah.
have a very specific qualifying process that we vet them.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that they truly are interested in what we're showcasing and talking about that night. And they're really there to have special time with the provider
Yes.
and to make sure that they're a good candidate for this and do a treatment plan, all those things. We set that all up. So we don't really want them bringing all of their girlfriends that night, so Thursday's not always the best. Wednesdays, if we're in the Bible Belt, if we're in Salt Lake,
It's Wednesday night
there's
church.
It's church. They're in prayer meeting. Yeah.
You're right.
So Tuesdays could be the best day. Tuesdays aren't the best day if it's after Memorial or Labor Day, because then it's a month.
Yeah.
So we really get in and we dive in with them.
Yeah.
And then on top of all that, what we'll sit down to with one of our conversations is in terms of staff. Let's have you run this past the staff. Do you have a certain time that everybody takes off?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
If you have clinical days and surgery, if we're talking, surgical, they have surgery days, then maybe that's not a good day.
Yeah.
We would take that all into consideration
Yeah.
when booking a date.
Yep. Well, that's good.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a lot, right? It's
It
like,
is.
whoever
And-
knew?
No, and the offices probably don't think about this. I mean, how often do you think about this stuff, Larry?
Yeah, never. I'm still not thinking about it. It's definitely not my thing, but I guess you do have to really prepare. How do you get these people to show up? How do you market to them? How do you create the whole, then the environment? And what about the food and alcohol and all that? How do you come to those decisions?
Yeah, or what's the timeline
Yeah.
for prepping for the events to get all those things that Larry was talking about in order? So once an office has decided, okay, we're going to pick this Thursday in the month of September and we're going to do this.
We're going to work towards that. What's it
What
look
is
like?
Yeah, what is the timeline
Yeah.
for setting up for
Okay.
this?
So with us, we have an 8-week process.
Okay.
So it's a roadmap. We guide you through virtual calls, step by step, until we come out on site and we present and we
Okay.
help close. Okay. So, but if you're doing it in-house and doing your own, 6 weeks would be my minimum.
Okay.
My minimum.
Okay.
But we create an event flyer for you, so there's a lot of tasks that are going into place. We're trying to figure out marketing and all of that. If you have that all going and you've got a graphic designer and they'll whip something up for you, 6 weeks is probably fine. But we know that, I got to get you on the phone, right? So we have to set time aside. So that 8-week is really our sweet spot for in terms of making sure that everything gets done. And the first 4 weeks is really, for us, again, it's consulting, right? So it's coaching you on all the different things. A lot of them we've talked about. It's about marketing, how we have a best practices for on-site sales events, right? So this is the marketing that we know. We have to cross every T, dot every I, make sure we've got all of our bases covered to get people to want to come.
Yeah.
Right? To get that phone to ring, to get people to say yes when they're in the office. Yeah, I'm interested. I'd like more information, or I want to come to that. So then we have a process. So the next 4 weeks is really, as this come through, that we'd have one RSVP coordinator that's in the practice. Tave was your RSVP coordinator.
Yep.
And they're the ones that work one-on-one with that. So we think, oh gosh, we throw it out there for marketing and they're just going to show up, right? Or they'll RSVP, hey, I want to come, but we want to take it a step further.
Yeah.
We want to dial them in.
Yeah.
So, and that also ensures a better show up rate too.
Yes.
We'll get people, because now they have that relationship and they understand the process versus just the event.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit different.
Yeah. And that's, a couple of the photos that we will pop up are a few of the Instagram and social media posts that we threw out prior to our event. And let's kind of talk about that as when you start to launch some of these social media advertisements to the patients for them to be able to see this and pick up on this. When are you having them start to actually post on their social media?
So we have trackers for all of our weeks. So every single week has a tracker with event week being event week 1.
Okay.
So we have them start. Now I have to count backwards because I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, week 5. I was thinking 5, but that didn't seem right. But I need my fingers, right, Larry?
Yeah.
So
yep. There's our second
Fingers,
post that we ended up putting out for our Black Friday events. You could see there was a couple one that was more simple with event day, one that had a little bit more information that was on it that we ended up using on our social media. So you have those start then about 5 weeks before.
5 weeks before, and we'll have them do, like you said, social media is big, right?
Okay.
That's always a thing. Facebook, a lot of times people are feeling like, gosh, well, we really just do Instagram. We're moving towards that. Facebook is great because you can actually set up the event on Facebook. You can link it to Eventbrite. So there's so much more that you can do. So always recommend that you do utilize that. And then just keeping the ad campaign consistent.
Okay.
So like, that one image that you had up there, we designed that, right? So that whole thing, you chose the image. With that, using that same image through the whole campaign.
Okay.
Instead of, a lot of people will be like, oh, but that's boring. I want to use 3 or 4, but it's that repetition, right?
Yeah. The branding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got it over and over and over again. We got to see it 8 to 10 times before we're like, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what that is, right?
Good. Well, and that's good to know because then you kind of set them up with a plan. Like at 5 weeks, you're doing this. At 4 weeks before, you're doing this. At 3 weeks before, you're doing this. So that way they have everything set out for what they need to do.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's really important. But actually, since you brought up branding and kind of talking about how we kept that same kind of image going, we have a couple of other things too that we had done at our event where we did different themes, from our goodie bags to our cookies to everything going, just really branding Clearskin as we were going throughout it. So everything at the event was the orange. It had our C for Clearskin. So, that when everybody was there, that continued theme was running. Is that something that you usually recommend that offices do too when they're creating it to really keep promoting their brand?
I love all those things. Yes. It's definitely something that if you can, I think we had talked about doing a signature cocktail too, right?
Yes, and we did do that. Yeah.
I love that. It's just makes you stand out, makes you special, makes people remember you. So
Yeah.
that's the goal.
Yep.
You want them to remember me.
Yep.
Come
and
back.
Every time they see that image, then that's what they're thinking of is you. Yeah. No, that's good. Good. All right. I was trying to think. Oh, yes. And I had another question because even though it's, it's post-COVID times are definitely different than when we were pre-COVID, and even though a lot of things have opened back up, what are your thoughts on the virtual sales events versus doing in-person sales events?
So with virtual events, we actually were doing them prior to the pandemic.
Okay, wow.
Which is kind of crazy, right? Yeah, we developed it a couple years before for more, I would say, one-offs.
Okay.
Every once in a while, we come across a client that wanted to work with us, but said, our patients do not want to see each other. We're in this little niche area.
Okay.
We have a separate entrance from exit. They don't see each other. We don't see how we can pull this off, right? So we started a virtual program to accommodate them, right?
Interesting.
So then when the pandemic hit, of course, it was, let's really ramp it up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now we have a whole other offering because we weren't traveling as much and things were changing. We created a separate one. So now we have 2 different kinds of virtual events.
Okay.
We have a virtual event that we actually use software that is us actually presenting with software. It's kind of crazy. And then we have one that is if the staff wants to be involved. So like if
Okay.
we're working with you on a virtual, you love being in front of the camera. Like you're great at it, right? I don't know that you love it, but you act like you do. I mean, you're comfortable,
I'm comfortable, yes.
right?
Yes.
So, but there are people you can imagine not
Oh, yeah.
comfortable with that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what do you mean? Even if it's just afterwards and we're doing a Zoom face-to-face with
Yeah.
the provider, and even then they don't necessarily feel comfortable, right? So we have to
Yeah.
walk them through all that. But not to get into the weeds with that. We find though with virtual events, they bring in about 50% of what our on-sites do.
Okay. All right.
So
That's pretty good.
it's great. We've
Really
had,
good,
you
yeah.
know, there's still going to be a thing
Yes.
even now.
Oh, yeah.
And I will tell you that on-sites are way more fun,
Yes.
especially for someone like me. I love to go out and present.
Yeah.
I like to be, I work virtual, so and I don't get to be with people all the time. So I
Yeah.
love to go into the office and work with people.
Yeah.
So I'm not, for me, just me, I don't like virtual events, but that doesn't mean that they're not successful.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that people aren't making money with them.
Yeah.
And they'll continue on.
It was really interesting because I never even thought about it with the patient bases where they do have people that don't want to see each other. And I know I can think of an office in my mind. I know exactly who that is.
Yeah.
Like they have that issue and they have very certain patients that can't interact with other patients. And the staff is so well groomed that they absolutely know not to book them on the same day. It's just a certain thing. And it's not just 2 people, it's groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you're right. That would never work for that office to be able to do that because otherwise they would have to exclude one group or the other. And that's if once they feel excluded,
Right.
they might
Yeah,
not
we're
come
going
back
there
to you
anymore, right?
No,
Yeah.
but that's exactly how you could do it. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. I never even thought about that, but that would be very important for offices like that.
Yep.
So, well, that is interesting. I think I have asked all the questions I wanted to ask Larry, unless you can think of anything.
Is there anything about your books?
Yes, absolutely. Okay.
Good job,
so
Larry. Good job.
Thank you.
I saw them there, and I think I have one.
You probably
might
do.
I have not read it yet.
I'll leave
I
them
think
all
I've
for
had
you.
it for a few years.
If you
and
promise me that you'll read them, I'll leave them for you.
You know what? I'm wondering if we both ended up with one when we first did the event with Kelly Smith.
I think so. I think we each got one back then, and so that was a few years ago.
That was 2019,
Yeah, probably.
I want to say.
Yeah, she
Maybe.
probably brought some when you guys were working together.
We were all in Seattle. I remember
Okay.
that. But
Yep.
Well, first of all, we have the profit killers. So top 10 profit killers that Kelly Smith wrote. And
Okay.
that is really, it's a fantastic book, but we have an offer. So the offer is it's free with paid shipping. So you pay the
Okay.
shipping. I think it's about $8. But if you go to, I don't know if Tave was going to put it up, but our website is projectedgrowthconsulting.com.
okay.
And you can click on the free book
Okay.
and order it. You can also go to Amazon and it's about $40.
Okay.
So either way, but
Perfect.
free shipping is
Yeah.
better than $40. So
Yes.
yeah, so go to the website and anyone can get that for free. We also have the 1-hour sales event,
Okay.
which is also on Amazon. And that one is very simple roadmap to what we talked about,
Okay.
the 8-week process.
Yep.
And we're very big on promoting our motto, which is proven systems create proven results. And it definitely put in the effort, you reap the benefits.
Yeah.
So, but that's the 1 hour on-site sales event. And then we also have the annual marketing plan too.
Okay.
So I think everything's on.
Yeah.
And then we have, there's a couple other ones. We've got a guide to social media. I think there's a couple more on there that I just didn't have.
Yeah.
But the one that you can get for shipping
Oh,
only
yeah,
is
so
the
it's-
top 10 profit killers.
The top 10. Yep. Profit killers. Yep. That annual marketing event, I think it's really good for a lot of offices too, because I don't think a lot of people really understand what that is or what goes into it. And that was actually the event that I was at this weekend in a totally, different place. And they were talking about really how to market and grow your med spa, because we all know that the myth is like, if you build it, they will come does not exist. There's
Yeah.
so much competition in this day and age. You have to get them in the door, especially if you are new. Larry and I have an advantage because between the two of us, we've been doing this combined together for almost 40 years. He's been doing it for almost 25 plus years. I've been in the industry.
She's older than she looks.
I've been doing this for about 15 years now. And, we have a lot of referrals.
Right.
So for us, we still love our referral base. However, we're always trying to grow, which is why we hire people like you to do our social media and hire you guys to do our events, because we know that there's still a benefit to bringing new people in the door.
Right.
So I think it's really important for offices to understand, because I think that's very overwhelming. And I was at a different conference because I worked twice this weekend in 2 different states.
Yay!
And the second one I was at was all brand new people getting into aesthetics. This was their first introduction where they're learning about weight loss and injectables and all these different things. And I mean, they're deers in headlights. They have no idea. Most of them are going to either start it 1 day a week out of a room in their new practice or their existing practice, whether they're an OBGYN or a general surgeon or an internal medicine, or I see all different kinds of docs. And they're deers in headlights. It's like they don't even know where to
Right.
begin. And that's where sometimes I'm like, okay, there's a lot more that goes into this. You need to start your social media. You need to start this. And you may want to hire somebody to do that. Even though as a small business, sometimes it seems like, well, that's a lot of money out front. But if you don't get the patients in the door, you're never going to get there anyways.
Right.
So I feel like these are important reads.
Exactly. And they're easy to read.
Yeah.
Easy to follow.
Well, and somewhere to start if they're not ready to hire a firm,
Right.
With
With that being said, though, a lot of times people think it's really expensive. So
Yeah.
our basic to get started consulting package is $3,000. So it's
Yeah.
not a huge investment,
No.
right?
I agree.
So you can get started with just, and I've had people tell me all the time, like, it was the best thing that I did.
Yes.
And people will cry and they'll be like,
Yeah.
I actually get to take a day off of the week and have an admin day now.
Yes.
Like where they're doing, charting and everything you do as a business owner on Saturday and Sunday, because they're just trying to be profitable.
Yep.
So they're seeing patients Monday through Friday, but to have an admin day is, like gives you your life back.
It does. It really does. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring you guys on, because we had Mary Claire here really talking about social media.
Yeah.
We wanted to bring you on and talk about that, because I think as even us doing this for so long, we're hesitant for quite a while about, like building this in as a business expense. But once we did it, you're right. It's night and day difference. I always tell people every time I'm up speaking in front of a group that I have a love-hate relationship with social media, because
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with it, but I absolutely know that it's extremely vital for the business. So it's so nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing, create a beautiful professional social media for us and interact on it. So then that way we have a presence on there, but I don't have to do it at 8:30 at night when I'm ready
Right.
to go to bed and get that post out or respond to the questions, or I can't.
Yeah. That's a lot. It's its own animal.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, like it's a love-hate, necessary evil.
Well, and even with these events, it's like if I had to do all those steps on the way up, you're right, it would take away a lot of time that Larry and I would have where we actually need to be doing the consult, seeing the patients. It's nice that we just then show up at the event and talk to people.
I think one of the misunderstandings also is when I talk to physicians who are getting into this for the first time, and their internal medicine, their family practice, OBGYN, they have a database. They're just assuming they're going to get these people.
Right.
You know, the assumption is there's always the possibility you're going to get them. And if you do it really well, you're going to definitely get some of them. But I mean, just to think, well, you bought a laser and you have a database, it doesn't just go together.
No.
And I think they really have a hard time understanding that. That, yes, you've got something that a lot of us didn't have when we started. And I'd do anything to have that database.
Oh, yeah.
However, you know, if you know what you're doing with that database, you can convert. But so many people in the early days don't know what they're doing. And so they start off being very unsuccessful.
Yes.
And they're trying, you know, they think okay, they've seen me for family practice. Why wouldn't they see me for this, you know, type thing. And it's a little different animal.
Yeah.
They're going about it like a family practitioner instead of aesthetics. And it's different. And they need to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
I think it's the key.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, good. Well, I think we're almost to the end. I'm going to pop up our last picture of Larry to leave our listeners with that little image before we go. I know we've got little Larry in the office here today, too.
Yay.
But here's Larry from our Black Friday event when we were there hanging out, having a good time with our TVs in the front, kind of advertising everything that we were doing. But yeah, it was very successful for us, and we love doing it that way. And it's something that we'll continue to do every year. But it's nice to have you guys helping us with that and getting it planned and organized, because it runs so much more smoothly. That is such a busy time of year for Larry and I. And it's just if you don't have somebody, like you said, even just as simple as having that point person to be the follow-up with the RSVPs, you know, and encourage them to come and do every little thing. It's like, you're right. They'll RSVP and then they'll never show up. It's like, I'm not going to lie, for some of our events of different vendors where we RSVP to dinners and it gets to that night and I'm like, I just can't.
Yep.
And you don't go. You really need that point person to make them so excited about it that they'll show up no matter what. And it's all those little things that go into it that people are not aware of. So
Agreed.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, any last words of advice for our listeners other than take advantage of the free book offer before we end this
Yeah, definitely
episode?
take advantage of the free book offer. And it's all about a plan. Just make the plans. And it's one step, one foot in front of the other, right? I mean, it can be like I was just thinking about the people that you just met with this week and just thinking how overwhelming that can be. And I've talked with people all different levels, and it just helps to have the roadmap, follow it, make sure you're doing something every single day towards that. And then all of a sudden, one day you've built something.
Yes.
You know, it's just like, how did that even happen?
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Any last words of advice, Larry?
No.
Larry is speechless, just so that everybody's aware of that. We will document this. Well, perfect. Well, thank you guys all for joining in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.